Previously on Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney.
Looking at this diagram, it seems the dressing room was quite cluttered. It does seem likely that you wouldn't have had a clear view of the shooter.
But there's only one place the shooter could be standing, and that's directly behind the man who was clearly very close to the little window that you were looking through, and you couldn't see him.
Hello, I'm Unca Crunk. Welcome back to Ace Attorney, where we are about to continue cross-examining Namaskite.
Objection!
Oh, wait, let me hear Lamroar's testimony one last time.
But the cross-examination is already over. Until such a time as a need arises, this witness may leave the stand.
I'm sorry I could not be of more assistance.
At last, back to the real trial. Ready, hair forehead?
I hope I didn't just miss my only chance.
Line detective.
How far had we gotten until we were so rudely interrupted? Don't ask me.
I dislike saying the same thing twice, and I never repeat a song for an encore. If you would, Miss Sky.
I believe I was saying that the only way Mr. Latus's killer could have escaped was through that air vent on the ceiling.
Yes, there was only one door in the room. And the witness, you, was standing in front of it.
That air vent isn't very big, see? Kind of limits the people who could possibly get through.
I certainly would have a difficult time.
You sure would. Not that you would have been there in the first place, though. Remember, the whole backstage area was off limits to people not involved with the concert. The only one who meets the conditions for our killer is the defendant.
A virtuoso performance. I couldn't have put it better myself. She does state a clear case. Though reading the report, something caught my eye.
Oh? What's that?
The circumstances of the defendant's arrest.
Circumstances? Again? Hey, that's right, Apollo. Remember when we found Maki? That was bizarre. She's right. Why did Mr. Latus's body disappear from the room? And end up on top of that stage tower? Holding a guitar, no less.
A perceptive observation here, Judge. Thanks. It was kind of an accident, really. But you work in this job long enough. You'll get a nose for things.
Their judge sure seems pleased with himself.
Very good, Fraulein Detective. Perhaps you can tie it all together for us. Why was the body moved? And how does that lead us to the killer?
Yeah. Witness testimony. The missing body. I believe Maki stole the body because of some lyrics. He moved the body to match Lamroar's song. No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim. And Maki practically left his signature at the scene. All of this evidence clearly points to the defendant. Signature? Lamroar's song?
Yes, the guitar's serenade. You noticed its code too, did you not?
It's code.
All the events that day followed the lyrics to our song. First, the keys my heart held on to so tightly were stolen.
Then Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flames on stage. Mr. Latus's life was taken by a bullet.
The rest hardly needs explanation. Guitar, up together to the sky. That's mad! It's like a story out of some fairy tale.
I admit I'd forgotten about the song. But there it is now, waiting for me. The grand finale, as it were. Hey, I was the one who first noticed that.
I've heard of jumping rope to songs and counting to songs, but killing to songs? It's a wild world out there here, Judge. Very well. We've heard one song and dance, let's get on to the next. The cross-examination.
I'm not so sure I'm going to be doing much singing. Hey. Cross-examination, start. I believe Maki stole the body because of some lyrics. Who would steal a body just to match some lyrics? I didn't believe in myself, but it can't just be a coincidence. Besides, I'm a forensic scientist, not a psychiatrist.
It is as Fraulein Detective says. She is not a psychiatrist. Let us begin with the first verse, if you would, Fraulein Detective.
What? You want me to sing it?
You are the witness, Ja? Or did you want me to sing? I warn you, my fee as vocalist is not trivial.
Fine, fine. Ahem. Let's look at the first part of the lyrics, shall we? When you stole away the keys, my heart held on to so tight.
Indeed, my favorite heart-shaped key ring was stolen that morning.
Next, we go to the right page of the lyric sheet, where we find burning on in my heart, fire, burn my love away, all away. As we know, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flame. Like a bullet of love, fire. Take my life away, all away. Bang. Mr. Lutus's life was taken by a bullet.
Bravo, Fraulein Detective. You're singing. Well, my mother told me that if I don't have anything nice to say, I shouldn't say anything at all, so passing swiftly on. Now, for the finale.
Yeah, no, not doing that.
Guitar, guitar, up together to the sky. As it says in the lyrics, Mr. Latouche was found with a guitar high in the sky over the stage. No series of coincidences could be so well conceived.
He's right, scientifically speaking. What would Waki have said? That concert was whack. It's hard to argue when she pours her heart into it like that. Anyway, the shooter. He moved the body to match Lamore's song. Does the prosecution have any idea why he'd do all this? You want my scientific opinion? No clue. But he clearly had a reason to go through all that trouble. Some deep reason.
A deep reason? Not only did he steal my keys, he torched my guitar. Unforgivable acts, even if he had a reason, and worse if he had none.
The diva's complaints aside, I can't imagine someone doing this on just a whim.
Fraulein Detective, I take offense at that description. Indeed, it does seem too well rehearsed, shall we say.
Yes, this crime was planned for sure. No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim. But Mr. Latouche spoke English. He may have come to this country before. I looked into that, I assure you.
Oh?
It was his first time in the country, it seems. Apparently, he learned English on his own. Duolingo or Rosetta Stone or something like that. Hashtag not sponsored. Ugh, great.
You see? No one here had a motive to kill him, and certainly not in such an elaborate fashion. It does seem difficult to imagine.
Unless our famous prosecutor did it as a publicity stunt.
What did you say? Prosecutor Gavin, you did this to promote your song? Of course not. And I am quite dismayed by the ludicrous nature of her claim. Why would I need promotion? Everyone already listens to my music.
They're even in my textbook at school.
And I'd never heard of them.
What's that say about me? I was just kidding. Don't get all worked up, Glimmer Boy. And Maki practically left his signature at the scene.
What do you mean by his signature?
The bullet holes in the wall, of course.
The bullet holes? How is that a blind child's signature?
The revolver was fired twice. One shot missed and left a hole in the wall.
Oh, okay. And that means what exactly?
That dressing room isn't exactly spacious. Picture the shooter facing off with the victim in there. They can't have been more than 5 feet apart. It would be difficult, almost impossible, to miss at that range.
Difficult to miss, you say?
Very. Assuming the shooter could properly aim.
You can't be serious.
Maki! He can't see. That's why he missed. It's the only explanation that makes sense. He used sound and other senses to fire the gun. Poorly.
That reminds me. The monitor in that room was blaring at the time, yeah? Hardly ideal conditions for tracking by sound. A blind shooter. No wonder he missed.
I knew those bullet holes would come back to haunt me. Think, Justice, what do I do now?
Object?
Sure, there were bullet holes in the wall, but that doesn't prove the shooter couldn't see.
Oh? How so?
Well, there could have been a struggle with the victim.
That's certainly possible.
And it might have been the revolver's fault.
The revolver?
The revolver was a very large caliber, correct?
If the shooter wasn't used to firing such a large weapon, why, it could dislocate the shoulder.
Exactly. The defendant, Maki Tobai, is, as you can see, tiny. It's not so hard to picture him firing the gun and missing entirely. The kickback alone would throw off his aim. Dude, you're not helping.
A convincing argument, to be sure.
Ha! Take that, smug prosecution. Apollo?
Huh? What?
You are a blithering idiot. You just supported the prosecution's
Case against Maki Tobai.
that bit about Maki being tiny and the gun throwing off his aim. Aren't you kind of
Admitting that he did it?
Ow. It does not matter why he missed. What matters is that the shooter was, without a doubt, the defendant. Even the defense seems to agree on that point.
Yeah. Christ, I really put my foot in it this time.
But let's get the facts of the matter on the record. If you would, Fraulein Detective. Very well, the witness will add this to her testimony.
Right. Damn it.
from the state of the crime scene, I conclude the shooter was blind.
Hold it! You can't say he was blind just because of those bullet holes in the wall. I think I've proven that.
I wouldn't call it proof, per se.
Huh? You've merely raised a possibility. Fraulein Detective has made a most logical conjecture based upon the evidence. Of course, there is more evidence than just bullet holes. The defendant was the only one who could have escaped through the air vent.
By the way, if he was blind, How would he know about the air vent in the first place?
Huh. A very good point. Well, Fräulein Detective, if you would care to explain.
He certainly seems sure of himself.
Recall the crime scene, if you would. There was a stepladder below the air vent. As it happens, maintenance was scheduled for that day. Custodial staff went around checking all the air vents.
I don't believe it.
Everyone backstage was told about the maintenance, including Makito Bai. He would have known that there would be a way out at the top of the stepladder.
But why is this the first time I'm hearing about this?
You could have figured it out for yourself. You only needed to consider what that stepladder was doing there. Looks like the defense's objection has been squished by a stepladder. Well, Herr Forehead, out of ammunition, perhaps?
I've never seen Prosecutor Gavin so aggressive. It's kind of hot, damn it. Maybe he's got the scent of blood.
Apollo, don't you have something? Anything? You know what we need? We need something to prove the killer could see. That'll put him in his place.
Oh, I have just the thing.
Wait, yeah.
Let's see, proving the shooter was sighted would do it. That would take down one of their central points. Do I have any evidence that can prove that, though?
Yes.
Fine. I accept the prosecution's challenge.
As I knew you would, Herr Forehead.
What exactly am I up against here?
The prosecution is saying the shooter missed because they couldn't see.
Therefore, Maki, who's blind, did it.
The defense will please present their evidence. Evidence that overturns the prosecution's claim that the shooter couldn't see. This right here, somebody rubbed out whatever it was that Latouche wrote.
Take that! This is that evidence.
The photograph of the crime scene?
I don't care much for the smirk on Prosecutor Gavin's face. But this is no time to think twice. Time to press on. Yes, Your Honor, the crime scene. There is something in here that decisively contradicts the prosecution's point.
Then perhaps you'd best show us this something. Get your finger out of the breeze and put it to good use, ja?
Yeah?
Very well, show us what you're talking about, Mr. Justice. The contradiction at the scene of the crime is...
this. Take that! The contradiction is right here. The smeared bloodstains?
I thought it was just my blurry vision, but it really was blurry. The way the victim's hand is raised above his head, much like a gesture I have seen many times in this court.
It's almost as if he wrote something. Aha! I get it. At least I think I get it.
Get what, Fräulein?
When Mr. Latouche was shot, he tried to write something. And what would he write but the shooter's name? And what would he write in it?
Are you okay?
I'm fine. And what would he write it in but his own blood? Pretty good, huh?
Thanks for making my point for me.
Yes, in fact, that's what I think happened here.
That does seem to be a distinct possibility.
The victim wrote the killer's name. It's certainly a logical conclusion. Drat, I just wish it wasn't all rubbed out like that.
Of course it's rubbed out. Why, if I were a killer, I certainly wouldn't want to leave my own name behind. Neither would I.
Hello? No one has anything else to say?
About what?
So the prosecution accepts this. You agree this was the victim making an attempt to record the name of the killer, and that the killer tried to rub the name out.
What's your point?
What's my point? Let me ask you this. How did the killer know the victim was writing their name?
Well, Mr. Latouche was writing something in blood. Once the killer saw what it was, Wait.
Once he saw what it was?
What, did you just testify about the shooter? I said they were blind.
Yet the crime scene itself contradicts that. The killer had to have been able to see. Why would they rub out the name in blood otherwise? May I remind the court that the defendant, Maki Tobai, is blind. He couldn't have been the shooter.
Impossible!
Order! 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 Prosecutor Gavin, please explain to me what all this means. I mean, looking at this photo, it seems quite clear that the shooter could see. Yet up until now, it seems I owe the court an apology. Huh? The governors are banned with law enforcement ties, yet a murder occurred during our concert. Apparently, this caused some confusion over jurisdiction. As a result, some reports were not filed in an entirely timely manner.
Oh, come on. I'm not sure I like the vibe I'm getting here. Hey, Apollo, look at him. Why is Prosecutor Gavin all relaxed and smiling like that? Like he knows something we don't. And he's about to tell us.
I've got an idea. Let's rock with these documents. But before that, I have a question for the Fräulein detective, if I may.
Do what?
Tell me, why do you think that Maki Tobai is blind?
Huh?
What did he say?
What are you saying? Of course he's blind.
Of course.
He's the blind pianist, right? So he's... Doesn't Lamar lead him around all by the hand all the time? No way.
I have a report here on the defendant, Maki Tobai. According to this, Maki Tobai can see perfectly well.
What?
Damn it.
His blindness was merely a publicity ploy by those clever Borginians. He can see quite well.
But you said...
What did I say exactly? Here, Forehead, not once in the course of this trial have I claimed the defendant was blind. The only one who did that was Fräulein Detective. A significant fact, yes. Consider, Maki Tobai sees. And he was the only one who could have fled through the air vent. I see no problems with this.
But what about the bullet holes in the wall?
Yes, the bullet holes. I believe Herr Forehead neatly explained those for us.
Damn it.
He didn't miss because he couldn't see. It was the kickback from the .45 caliber revolver. A simple accident, in other words.
Ah!
How's that? I'm afraid your objection has just flown off for brighter skies.
Ah!
This is where the real fun begins, Herr Forehead.
Snaffle breaking,
I knew you didn't have what it took.
You jerk. Just what was I in here for? Comic relief? Yeah, apologize.
Sorry.
There's no way to apologize.
He's angered the Trucy now. Look out.
If we can please end the bickering. No.
Whatever. I'm not leaving. I can't leave like this. I'll come up with some clue to solving this case if it kills me.
But your testimony has already given us enough to convict the defendant. Don't say that.
What now? This bloodstain. The criminal tried to wipe it off, right?
That seems to be what happened, yes.
we might be able to find out what was really written here.
Really? You can do that?
That's right, with this. It's called luminol. Maybe you know of it. It's a chemical that reacts to blood.
Ah, yes. Have we done those tests yet?
Yeah, as if I'm going to tell you.
The blood stains covered a section of the carpet. In order to perform blood tests, that section was removed and submitted. Perhaps we should request it here in court now.
Carpet? That's carpet? Right, go for it, Apollo.
Huh?
I have to do the test. Well, yeah, you're the one in control of the controller. You just have to spray the luminol on it. Simple. A chemical that reacts to blood. I've heard of this somewhere. Yeah, Boondock Saints.
Yes, I believe in an atom. Yes, I believe an analysis is called for. Have at it.
Right, ready? It says easy as pie. Just press A to spray an area. Here, give it a try. The eyes of the entire court are focused on me. Apollo, your hand's shaking.
All right, let's do this.
All right, I'm going to use the mouse for this. Oh, never mind. Have to use space bar for that. Okay, that was easier than I thought it'd be. Epix 314206. Wow, it really works. This must be the power of science. It says Epix 314206. Is that the killer's name?
Maybe it is. If it was a robot.
Ha! I have it.
So what is it?
I thought those letters IPXX looked familiar. This is an Interpol ID number.
Interpol? You mean the International Police Agency?
Yes. Most are undercover agents working to solve international crimes.
Are you telling me Latouche was a cop?
But why would he write that number?
Why would Mr. Latouche even know a number like that?
Good show, Fraulein Detective. Rock on.
Eh?
Your Honor, we can verify this number immediately. Darian, are you there? Come up to the witness stand. Darian, you heard what we need. Go check into this Interpol ID number.
Sure thing. Give me 30 minutes. No, give me 27.
I'm not sure what to think of all this. The prosecution's case is airtight, or so it seems. Yet, if this number is really that of an Interpol agent...
Oh, wait, I know. What if Maki Tobai is really an undercover Interpol agent?
That would be a possibility.
A possibility, yes. And one that would mark him as the killer for certain.
Why did Latouche know an Interpol ID number? That's what I want to know.
Well, we have some time while we await Darian's report. Let's work on unraveling another mystery, shall we? A curious mystery concerning Maki Tobai.
Now, what are you talking about?
Fraulein Detective, please accept my apologies. I received word that the defendant could, in fact, see just before the trial began. It seemed too much of a bother to tell you.
You had me into that last bet.
Does this not raise a rather straightforward question?
Well, sure. Why did Maki pretend he couldn't see?
Exactly. It makes little sense. What do you think, Hair Forehead?
Me?
Maki Tobai pretended he was blind. Do you know why?
How could he know? Wait, Prosecutor Gavin knows why, doesn't he? He's known from the start of this trial. He's been leading us on the whole time. As per usual.
Something wrong? Do you think perhaps this is all some kind of game? Know that the moment I heard that report, I knew why. I suppose people who have sold over 1 million records really are something else.
What does that have to do with anything?
There was a reason why Maki Tobai pretended to be blind, but it wasn't for his own sake. Getting the picture now?
Oh. Okay. It wasn't for himself?
Well, Mr. Justice, can you present evidence that shows us why the defendant had to feign blindness?
Let's see. Maki had no reason to pretend he couldn't see, which means, no, it couldn't be.
Good show here, Forehead. It seems you've thought of something.
Why can't I figure these things out on my own? I hate having to take my cues from this guy. Very well, look at this. This is why he was pretending he couldn't see. Is it this? I think it's this. Sightseeing music. Yeah. She's blind. She can't see. Therefore, she's not the one writing songs about the sights she's seen. Maki is. All right. All right.
Letters, Lemuror.
Lemuror and Maki Tobai recall their relationship. In particular, their unique arrangement over the years before visiting our country. Lemuror and her pianist. They would always walk together, she leading him by the hand. Even when they got on stage, she would lead him to the piano. She would walk all the way over there with him. That's right, because he was blind. She led him at all times, never letting him go.
All times.
Yet, we have just learned something that makes their arrangement peculiar indeed. Maki could see. Why did they have to keep up this act the whole time?
Well, wasn't it part of their, performance?
I think there's a simpler explanation. Maki did not need to be led by the hand at all. That can only mean one thing. Really? Really. It was all the other way around. The one who needed to be led by the hand was Lemuror!
What's this? So you mean to say that Lemuror is... that she's...
Yes, Your Honor. Lemuror is blind.
Order! 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 This is crazy, Prosecutor Gavin.
Is it now?
Please shed some light, sanity on this madness. The defense has made an outrageous claim.
The only thing outrageous I see about the defense is his vast forehead. Yet I see it is not vast in vain. This time. He's quite correct.
But that makes no sense.
Yeah, wasn't she supposed to be the landscape painter and sounder or some such? Well, since we have her here, why not ask Lemuror herself? I believe she is still in the witness waiting room. Apollo, what does this mean for our case? Don't ask me. I had no idea she couldn't see. I hadn't even imagined it until now.
Bailiff, bring in Lemuror.
Hello again.
Lemuror, it pains me deeply to call you before us again in this way, and yet I must.
Please do not be concerned on my behalf. Those eyes, she really can't see? Really? It is true. How funny it is that a tiny lie born in the Borginian countryside would one day grow to entangle the entire world.
So you are...
Yes, as I mentioned before, I have no memory of the time before I became Lemuror. Know too that my memories begin in darkness. The word light has no meaning for Lemur.
I see. You may recall me saying something toward the beginning of this trial, Hair Forehead.
Eh? What's that?
I believe I said it was unfortunate this crime had no direct witnesses.
Ah,
Now, Lemur, I must ask you to stand once more. Will you testify to the court about your eyes?
of course. It was never my intent to deceive any of you. May I begin, Your Honor?
Yes, of course. Though I admit I'm a little lost here.
I think we're all a little bit lost here, Your Honor, except for Gavin, who is apparently 4 steps ahead in every single freaking interaction we have. Except when he lost his keys. I have no memory of the light. I debuted in a world of darkness and sound. My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So, silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others.
But this is a murder trial.
I apologize. It was part of my contract, you see. I was to keep my blindness a secret, no matter what. Music is everything for me. I never imagined something like this would.
She told us the truth in the beginning, when she said she saw nothing. Very well. Does the defense have anything to add?
I'd like to cross-examine. But what is there left to ask? There was one thing in her testimony that bothered me.
Perhaps it is best we let you get it out of your system. Someday you'll come to understand the importance of thinking for yourself. Very well, the defense may proceed. However, be aware this court will not tolerate any questions deemed too stressful to the witness.
Okay. There was only one part that bothered me. Just let me ask about that and I'll be happy. But I'm still going to press on everything. Cross-examination, start. I have no memory of the light. So, you don't know why you went blind? I do not. I may have been born this way, in fact.
It's fruitless to attempt to pry into her past. And I might add, it's a delicate subject. I'm not sure we can reasonably expect Mr. Justice to do anything delicately.
Hey! Why, I ought to take a deep breath and calm down. What I am now is all that I have. It is enough, I think. I debuted in a world of darkness and sound. Weren't you nervous to hit the stage in your condition? No, not at all, surprisingly. It felt natural singing in front of everyone.
It's not something just anyone can do. She has a talent, that much is quite clear. You might even say she is beloved by the gods of music.
Even without light, I live perfectly happy in my world of sound. If that is a talent, as you say, then I thank the gods responsible. What about your PR motto? My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. Perhaps your music reminded him of the Borginian scenery? No, it was quite the opposite. The opposite? According to my producer, my music has a certain global quality.
Global?
Multicultural, if you will. Hard to pin to one region. When people listen to it, they picture the country closest to their hearts. Which is why my music has reached so many. What a lovely story!
It sounds like this producer might have known what he was doing after all.
My songs are nothing more than a white canvas. To me, the real landscape painters are the listeners. When I think of that, I do not mind how I am represented to the world so much. Yet, one thing quickly led to another. So, silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Was that to protect your image as the landscape painter and sound? That does not matter so much to me, really. But the label is quite concerned about it, I think. A landscape painter who can't see. It's like a pianist who can't play, huh?
I'm not sure you can compare your father to Lamour.
The world of commercial music is filled with these little white lies. Nothing is sacred when it comes to publicity. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others.
When you say your staff, do you include Mr. Latouche?
Of course. He was my manager.
So he knew, and that's what's been bugging me. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? I believe I know what is bothering our young defense attorney. You're thinking of when you discovered the body, yes?
Is he right, Apollo?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
Hey, he's alive! Mr. Latouche, can you hear me?
Cold. So cold. Witness.
You're cold. Don't worry, you're gonna be fine. Help us on the way.
Can't see.
Hang in there, Mr. Latouche. Tell me who was the witness.
The witness is a siren.
Mr. Latouche told me to ask the witness, and he named you. Why would he do that? He knew you were blind.
I don't know.
Tisk, tisk.
Nah.
What did I just say? You need to learn to think for yourself.
Meaning what?
There is no mystery here if you recall everything he said. Think of his last words once more. The witness. Siren?
No, can't see. The witness.
We've heard them many times, along with a little play acting by our defense.
Hey!
I remember them well myself, but that statement is not to what I refer. I mean what he said before that.
Before? What came before that?
That's right, he tried to tell you. When he said can't see, he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the witness. I see. Too bad the defense did not. Well, Herr Forehead, try relaxing and looking at the facts first next time. Order! Order! Recall Lamour's earlier testimony.
I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it.
But she couldn't have heard those gunshots. I thought we proved that. That is not the most important point here. The moment he was shot, Mr. Latouche witnessed her through that window. Why else would he have named her as the witness?
But I really did hear them. 2 gunshots. And the man's voice.
Unfortunately, such a thing was impossible. The window was closed. We have already run a simulation, of course.
But it was so clear. If I heard that voice again, I would know it in an instant.
Your Honor!
What is it, bailiff? Can't you say we're in session here?
We have the results back from the investigation.
The investigation? There's a poll number that Mr. Latouche left us. Well, let's hear it. We will continue this cross-examination afterward. Detective Crescend, your report, please.
They asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing.
Quick work as always, Darian. Well, tell us about the number. Is the defendant a secret agent?
IPXX314206. The agent registered under this number was Romain Latouche.
What?
Our undercover Interpol agent was Mr. Latouche himself. He was apparently in the middle of an operation.
So, when he wrote those letters,
He was trying to tell us his own identity, and a cautious killer tried to wipe them away.
Mr. Latouche was an undercover Interpol agent? So, him being Lamoire's manager was just a cover, most likely.
There's one other important detail I found.
Well, out with it.
It concerns that 45 caliber revolver, the murder weapon. Apparently, it belonged to Romain Latouche. He had an Interpol permit to carry firearms, and the registration number on the revolver matched.
So the victim was killed with his own weapon, which makes sense. It's hard to imagine someone who wasn't an Interpol agent with such a large revolver.
Hey, I was right about the gun being his. I was wrong about everything else, though. So the victim was an Interpol agent on an undercover op. I wonder how that ties into everything. It's gotta tie in somehow, you think? Yeah, somehow.
Thanks for looking into that for us, Detective Cashend. It's a great help.
Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out.
Wait!
Lemoire, is something the matter?
That voice just now.
Darian?
Mr. Darian, is it? It was him. I am sure of it.
It was him? You aren't saying...
That voice I heard, talking to Mr. Latouche, when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darian.
Is this some kind of joke?
Ah!
No way.
But the courtroom fell into such a chaotic state the trial had to be suspended temporarily. It was Detective Guitarist after all. I'd never seen that happen before. Of course, it's not every day that you get an accusation like that one. Lemoire fingering Darian Crescend. Not only is he a guitarist, he's a detective. Could it really have been his voice Lemoire heard? Things were changing fast, and frankly, I wasn't sure I could keep up with it. Hey, no wimping out now, Apollo. Okay, to be continued in the next episode. To the outro. Okay, then. That was a lot. Maki isn't blind, but Lamoire is. Latouche is an Interpol agent. The murder weapon was his, and Lamoire heard the shots and Detective Geeter's voice, even though the window was allegedly closed. Also, the killer smudged up Latouche's dying message, so my theory of him being shot through the window doesn't really work. The killer had to be in the room, which leads us back to someone small enough to scamper through the air vent. And I don't think the onesie wonder is diminutive enough to manage that. So, either the prosecution is going to try to discredit Lamoire, saying that she's protecting Maki, or Darian is going to claim that he was actually in the hallway, which is a stretch. That would make him a witness who decided not to come forward. We need more evidence. So, back to the crime scene for more investigating. In the meantime, up here is a playlist of my Danganronpa V3 playthrough, and down here is a video that YouTube recommends. Also, if you'd like to help support a fuzzy little monster and get videos a week early, we have channel memberships for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!